Hey y'all, it's Jenny Mosley, and we are here live with the Elevate Effect. It's time to take the dental field to a whole nother level. Fly with me, folks. Let's get real and let's get uncomfortable. Well, hello there again. Happy Thursday?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Oh my God. Why do you answer that way?
I'm sorry?
Why do you answer that way? Where's your psyche? Oh, I got to get my volume down.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. You were just I guess. I said
intro,
happy Thursday and you, I guess.
The intro, I just struggle with that. I don't, just in general.
Ah, okay.
Like once, now I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Because we're in it now.
Okay, so can you say it now then?
It's like getting into the pool, right? You put your toe in first.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in the summer, it's fine. But like, now when the pool opens, it's like, oh gosh, I don't know. How warm is the water? How cold is the water? I don't want it to take my breath away. So I just kind of dip my toe in.
Oh my gosh, so you're a psycho.
This is me dipping my toe in. I just,
got it.
I don't, other
you
times
don't just jump in.
Well, I do cannonball in a lot because that's.
Then let's cannonball in, doll.
Let's cannonball.
Let's do it.
Maybe that's my intro. Cannonball.
Ooh, cannonball. Okay, so I love this. We've had a request. Our first one. No, we've had a couple. Usually Craig, but we had an employee that asked us to kind of discuss, what teamwork truly might be, and that might not be the best title. She said, "Could you discuss how team members tend to not know how to say no to each other?" And then Ryan basically responded with, "Well, it could even be more than just team to team. It could be doctor to team or leader to leader or whatever it is.
Or team to patient or doctor to patient.
Team to patient. Yeah. I mean, it's just, that's what you meant.
Any communication.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you have a scenario?
Well, so in earlier podcasts, we talked about discipline, different types or ways, because it's a noun and a verb. So we set up from the beginning in the new patient room, the whole start to finish. And we set up the discipline. Okay, here's what's going to happen. Here's how many visits. Here's how long. Here's how much. And then we do the plan. And a lot of times, because we always want to help, patients can ask for things that aren't necessarily in their best interest. And by that I mean, they're asking for something, but that's not going to get them the result that they wanted or want. They think, or that
they requested from the beginning.
Right.
Okay. So there's kind of, okay.
Please.
So you're saying basically they're now in your room, and now they're saying things that aren't what you heard that they said in the new patient room.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Or it can be just even as simple as, we sequence all these visits, and if you miss one, the other 5 are now wrong.
Yes.
Right. So, a patient, someone comes up and they don't want to come in.
Okay. So what you're saying is slowly he's taking a long, he's basically rowing a boat to China
for everybody. Okay.
So what you're saying is that a patient will call up, let's just say, to a team member and say, "Hey, I got to move my appointment." And the team member goes, "Okay."
Yes.
Right. So what Ryan is basically saying, again, go back to our podcast that talked about discipline. It's odd for us, for a patient to want to move an appointment, because we should have created the discipline in the patient that every visit is reserved for a specific reason. And so and you said a word earlier that I try so hard to get people to stop saying, because like people use the word help, and it's very frustrating, because I'm like, I don't think people understand what help really is. I really don't. I mean, that could be a whole podcast. It's like, really, I just wanted to help the patient. They said they just couldn't. That is not help. But what Ryan is saying is like, you're in this scenario and you can't, the patient's saying, "I need to do something," and you feel the knee-jerk reaction to just go, "Okay." That's the inability. It's called confrontational tolerance or intolerance. The inability to see that you just confronting them. And again, that's why this year I called it procrastination, because I think the word confrontation is a negative in their eyes. So I said, okay, fine, you're procrastinating. Because here's the thing. You basically just said, you know what? Yeah, I would love to do a bunch of extra work for you. I'd love to sit back down and go over all the things we've already done. I mean, it's silly. So why can't we struggle? Why are we struggling by going, well, that's weird. Now we did sit down with you and explain the incredible benefits of doing it this way. Where did we go wrong? And why can't we even do that with a team member?
Right.
It's really, really interesting. That's why I tend to get misunderstood consistently, because I am constantly, it's probably very annoying, but I never, ever, ever answer a question right away, because I just want to make sure that, like, for example, let's just say you go to Destiny and go, hey, can you print this piece of paper? And she says, yes. Like, really? Can you not say, well, let me ask you, is it important to have it done now? No. Okay, so what's your deadline? At least by the end of the day. All right, well, it's not on my priority list. Do you mind if it's the last thing I do today, but it's done today? Absolutely. Why can't we have that? They can't do that. It's really interesting. And this came from the person who's really learning the role in this practice that has to do a lot. And she's doing amazing. And she's she's addicted to our podcast, which that alone we love her for. So, she listens to it in the shower. That was odd, but it's true. But it helps her, motivates her.
Utilizing your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go, Reeves.
Maximizing time. Yeah. Smart.
But
we should all do that more.
She's in a role. There's a role in these kind of practices that we build where you all actually have a role that you have to say yes a lot, but you also have to learn which ones are priority. And so it's a struggle to, if someone comes up to her and says, hey, can you do this for me? And she's like, well, I'm in this role. And it's like, no, that's not the role. It's just a random question. We have here's the discipline. We have a meeting at the morning meeting, and we have a meeting at the end of the day meeting. I don't understand why everybody's asking for requests throughout the day, including you all. If you want something, come to that 30 minutes or then discuss it in the other 30 minutes. But we just created an entire incredible machine, and now we just threw a rock at the wheel. It's weird, but they can't seem to question it. And again, it does go to just having the inability to confront. And I think also that could also be a generation thing. My body's got to go like that. You know what I mean? Like, you tend to be comfortable saying no to certain patients. And then there's other patients you don't. And I wonder if that could come from the patient's voice and the lack thereof. Like, for example, and I'm only using you because you're here and you can maybe attest to it for people.
No, I'm anxious to hear the example.
Well, like all of us can rely on you 100% to put a patient that is low values in a position that can explain to them, I'm sorry, that is just ridiculous. There are times that it's confusing, and I'm thinking it's because of the behavior of the patient versus what we say. Like, if we say the patient is this and then the patient says something different to you, you're in this thing where it's like, well, I don't want to act like I don't believe them. And so now what do I do? But when there's a very low values patient, or like the one we had yesterday, something broke, right? And so I think when there's a policy there, when you have this backup, but you may be the same as them, like, how do us as a practice, for example, let me just do the Destiny thing. How do we get her to see that the system of you asking her, the lack thereof of you asking her, isn't keeping her in her system? Like, if she's a high values employee, which she is, and you have a high values patient, how are we not getting them to see those the same way? Like, for example, you come up to her and you say, hey, can you get this printed for me? And she says, yes. That is no different than you seeing a patient and we say, this patient needs this, and the patient says something different from you, and you do what the patient wants. How is those two things different?
I would have to have more context. I don't know.
Okay, let
I
me
don't know
pick the
that I don't know
patient.
that they are.
Well, I can't say the name. There's a patient that comes in and they broke a tooth,
Mm-hmm.
and we mentioned that they broke this tooth. We mentioned that this may happen in the room before your room, or a
Mm-hmm.
few rooms, whichever.
Mm-hmm.
They're in your room and they're saying, "I'd never heard that."
Okay.
And so then they go, "Yeah, so can you just fix it?" I mean, I don't remember anybody talking to me about that. You get spun up.
Yeah.
Now, if you go into a room and you have somebody that there is a resolution, sorry, that may be it. There's a true resolution. The tooth broke so much that it's broke off. So there's a true resolution. If, for example, like if someone broke a tooth in our office, we know we got to go. Okay, we got to talk about pressure problem. We got to go all this thing and da da da. If someone just completely ripped off a tooth at the gum line, that has a true resolution to it. Is that why it's easier? And again, I'm tying it into destiny because maybe she's seeing you as the doctor as her resolution, not necessarily what the act is that you're asking her to do.
I mean, I don't know. It's very deep.
Yeah, it is very deep,
Yeah.
but it happens all day.
Yeah. Well, I think in the circumstance you're referring to with the patient, I thought we had done.
Well,
But
I'm using you
yeah,
as somebody that brought up a scenario in an email, and I'm just picking a scenario of a
yeah,
patient.
that
But if you go into the scenario, I don't think anyone's going to get it. I'm just saying, can you explain your psyche? Because there are times where you're more confident and there are times that you're not.
oh, okay.
And then just teach these people how
Oh,
to get that confidence. Because when you're confident, maybe you could show them what they can
oh
utilize to
gosh,
get
wow.
the confidence.
All right.
Oh my
That
gosh.
took what 10 minutes to understand that. I wish you could have just said that from jump.
Well,
Holy
the
crap.
reason why, okay, this is good though. The reason, again, there's Jenny that nobody can understand. Here's why. Because if I just do that, nobody gets anywhere.
Mm, okay.
But anyway, go. It's so
Well,
tiring being in my head. I'm not joking. I want to just
in,
jump.
in terms of I mean, I'll speak to the dentistry part.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
So I believe in our system and I believe in what we do and I believe in physiologic dentistry.
Okay.
And I believe if we do that and something happens, something negative happens, a tooth breaks off, I know that it's not because
Okay.
of any, it couldn't be helped.
Got it.
Everything
Because you did
that could have
everything under the
possibly
sun.
been done
So, okay, so connect that
was
to an
done.
employee, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you get her to believe, to be able to look at you and say, that's not in my wheelhouse today? Because obviously that's a great point. She obviously is not there yet, is in believing what truly she's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because if she truly did, she'd feel confident to go, why are you asking me to do that?
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So how do we, now that's huge for us in the future, you know? I mean, this person is not going to be with us forever. I mean, her goal is to be with animals, and that stinks because she's probably one of the best we've ever had. So we're going to have another one. And we got to do it in a way that we can keep someone in that role. That role is not easy to keep because it tends to start to feel like that. Like everybody's go-to of help me do this, help me do this, help me do this, help. And at the end of the day, you're like, I'm out. Like, this is not what I signed up for.
mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel valid. It doesn't feel like they can believe in anything because all day long they're just running errands.
Yeah. There's no reward there.
There's no reward.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. Maybe, if we can speak to the, how do you say no to somebody? I mean, maybe you need to get a little selfish. I don't know. I mean, I have no problem with it. I mean, I remember when I used to work with Brad and, a lot of the girls were scared and they may even be scared of you as well. But it's like, scared of what?
Well, see, I don't see it as necessarily no forever. It's like I can't do that right this second, kind of a thing.
So maybe if they heard that, if the answer was more of no and this is why.
What I'm trying to do now is like, and I am just thinking specifically because I asked Heather for something, and I just said, this is not a high priority item. I just need this by X time if that's doable, or by the end of the day, or by the end of the week, or whatever. Just preemptively saying, because I'm getting feedback, hearing that, well,
Right.
they don't realize that it doesn't have to be done right this second. And so I'm just preemptively just saying, hey, look, low priority, you've got other things going on, but just add this to your list. Here's kind of when I need it by. Is that in your wheelhouse? Is that doable?
Well, that was interesting. I mean, we had our training day like what, a week ago, and I mean, I was mortified because this person truly wanted to quit, because she just felt like she was the practice, gopher.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no clue. I mean, people were coming up to her saying, "Can you call these meds in? Can you call these meds in?" It's like, what? I
Mm-hmm.
was mortified. And I said to her,
Well, here's another one. How about making calls to patients? I'm
yes,
like, that's not appropriate.
no, not
Yeah,
even
when I heard, I'm
close.
like,
Right. She was doing that. I didn't
yeah.
know it either.
Well, I just heard that the other
Yeah.
day, and I'm like,
What?
what?
Right, right, right. And so again, back to how do you say no? I mean, maybe just maybe what I did at the training day was, I brought everybody together because me, open door policy, and I was like, okay, whoa, what in the world have we created here? This girl, this is not. I mean, she has no clue what's going on, and so how could you have her call a patient? And then I said, how can I get you to learn how to say no? And I think it's just a matter of not saying no. So it's more or less just being comfortable to ask a question back, because especially when it comes to confrontational tolerance, which I call procrastination. I mean, you avoiding it doesn't mean it's going to go away. And if
Right.
anything, it just gets worse, like anything you procrastinate.
Yeah.
I mean, we're living in procrastination,
Yeah.
and it's only getting worse and worse. And so, it's like, here's what I would say, I would practice with your family, and practice a habitual discipline of recognizing with your family that you're going to get a response with even people that love you. And that's human nature. The response shouldn't be what you're doing it for. What you should do it for is your empowerment, and your personal growth. So, it's like if my husband says something, or who knows, let's just say, did you remember to pick up Carl? It's like, are you serious? Why would you ask me that question? Well, you've forgotten him before, but that's just rude, right? But the fear of not asking at all because I would react that way is crazy, because I probably will forget him again.
Right.
And that has to be, try it with somebody that you love. You're going to get the same response.
Right. Well, I think it's also, it's easy to say, depending on the what the task is, it's either to say yes just to get it done, and because it's not, going through this exercise is
Right.
exhausting and it takes time.
Yes. And care.
So that's a barrier.
Yes.
Instantly.
Instantly.
And then the second thing is, it's, I think we answer questions all the time, but we don't really know the intent. I think the intent of the question is almost more important than the question.
Right. So why not ask it?
Right. No,
Right.
I agree.
Well, I'm saying it out loud.
agree.
Yeah.
But I mean, anyway, I think that's a huge piece. So I think you just kind of gotta, you either gotta,
Well, then
saddle up and ride the bull.
So then
just like commit to just look. I got to understand. You need this when, and you need this because, and this needs. Or I mean,
well, it's like, hey, can
know,
you
you
do
gotta,
this? Okay, now, look, can you do this? Why are you asking? Or can you do this? Well, I mean, Can I? Yes. When can I don't know. And why me? You got to give me more.
Mm-hmm.
Again, back to, did you pick up the dog? It's like, I'm like, that is so irritating, but I have forgotten him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, I'm proud that he can still work through asking me a question, knowing I'm going to answer like that, even though it's better for me, for him, for Carl, and everybody. So look at the greater good and recognize, I have an assistant. She's the worst at this. Like I used to say in the practice, stop asking her, because there is zero thought. People that say yes have zero thought, folks. And I'm not joking. Even in the sales room, you get someone that says yes, run. If they say yes, they run. They should say, I'm sorry, yeah, I just
It's
did it
okay.
again. They should say a bunch of questions and then yes. Never, ever, ever take yes, because those people do not think. They don't have a process of thought. Guess what? When the thought comes up, you either don't get a good job, you either get a second guess job, or you get a refund, or you get it never being done. Do not want a yes. If anything, if someone says yes to you, you go, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm sorry, you didn't ask me any questions. Maybe you're the wrong person for this, and walk away. Anyway.
Do you have Heather's actual question in front of you?
Her question was, she said, do you all have a class on how to say no? Like when teammates rely too heavily on external help instead of learning their role or allocating their time more efficiently, how to gracefully say no and still maintain the team relationship. Doesn't that come from the discipline that we put out there? Or how about this? Heather, do this next time. Say, you know what? I could do that for you, but then you won't grow. And so I'm willing to say no in order for you to figure out how to do it well yourself. When you do it well, then I'm willing to help you. Or when you try, then I'm willing to help you. Because if I do it, you are never going to grow. And that was the problem with the person that had it before. No one grew around her. And there's zero growth around there. That fosters nothing. And so it just, again, if you don't like saying no, and if the team member gets upset, maybe it's just in your delivery, but just tell them, listen, yes, I can. Absolutely, I can. But I'm choosing to not do it right now because I believe that you need to do this to grow. And, I don't think that you can avoid team conflict. It's impossible. If you're trying to accomplish that, then you're never going to accomplish it. It's never going to happen.
Yep.
But that's why we have the discipline of the AM meetings and the PM meetings, is that we bring it in, and you got a leader like me, throw it out there. And if you are leaders out there, have open door conversations. Let them know that they can talk and feel free to talk about anything and not be judged, because it will help create less drama, and it will help create for y'all to move forward. So
I think that's a perfect way to end the podcast.
can we end with one more thought in yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we talked a lot about two things today:
Mm-hmm.
discipline and what happens when you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
We also talked about how to say no. It's time. Please, I'm begging you, or I'm going to lose myself. Are you ready to do this together? Finally, we have to. We're getting in the situation we are in because it's our fault. We're afraid.
I'm not blaming anybody.
But us.
I'm not blaming anybody.
Okay, go ahead. Your last thought.
Sorry, microphone malfunction. I think that the last key piece of that I picked up on was, after thinking about your questions to me, was having confidence in what your role in the practice is.
You got to get confidence there first before you do anything.
Yeah. I mean, because everybody wants to help. I hate that word, but everybody wants to
assist.
Yeah. I mean, if you can, you want to do it. Like,
right.
Nobody wants to say no.
But really, can you? I mean, it takes even a year to know this. How can you help? When someone offers help, like I have a person that offered help to go in room 3 today. That scared me because the person in there is so far from helping. That is not helping our practice at all. That's what I'm talking about.
That was very cryptic. On that note,
On that note, see you
good
folks.
luck
Bye
piecing that together.
bye.
Bye, guys.